Welcome to another Founder Wisdom Pod. We have Graham Riley with us. He is founder at Career Toolbox USA. This podcast has been brought to you by potfire.com. If you want to start, scale, or be invited to a podcast like this one, Graham, I'm honored to have you on. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself and Career Toolbox?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for the invite, Charles. I really appreciate it. Career Toolbox has been around since 2012, and we help individuals with their personal brand and how they market themselves to a potential employer, which would include their LinkedIn profile, their resume, and sometimes a cover letter. Um, what years of doing this has taught me is that it's not the most educated, it's not the most experienced, and it's certainly not the hardest worker who gets the job. It's whoever has done the best at marketing and selling themselves through the hiring process. That's who gets the job.
Right. I'm guessing we live in the era of branding and communicating
Mm-hmm.
efficiently of what you're about and your value.
Yep.
And we see so many of these folks auto applying to LinkedIn jobs, and their best offer is just like hire me, like pay me a
Mm-hmm.
salary and we'll be good. I think folks need to be more creative when it comes to offering their own expertise in their brain,
Mm-hmm.
be a bit more entrepreneurial, if that can be the start. And
Yes.
basically, why not outreach to your favorite companies out there? Make a list. In my case, it would be, I don't know, Y Combinator, Neuralink.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there would be some SpaceX in there, and reach out relentlessly to these folks until they could give me the jobs of my dream. What do you recommend folks to do when it comes
Sure.
to searching their ideal job?
Sure. Well, first of all, it's a good place to start understanding what is it that I enjoy doing and how doing the things that I enjoy, how does it make a difference to the organization's financial performance? And how does it make a difference to the customer, client, or user experience? And the reason that I'm sharing focusing through that lens of the things that you enjoy is because every year we tend to accumulate new skills, talents, capabilities. There are things that we're excited by and we look forward to doing. And then there's other things that we can do, possibly better than anybody else we know, but we don't enjoy it. So let's use our resume and our LinkedIn profile to talk about the things that we have the capability of doing and how it solves problems for an organization.
Right.
Um,
What if I use it on a sales context? How can I sell more through my LinkedIn? I get a lot feedback from my own LinkedIn that there's too many things there. It's somewhat complex and confusing. So, what advice would you have for me in my LinkedIn profile?
right, sure. The idea with your profile, if you do have the ability to solve complex things or you do many things, is to simplify it. Because when somebody visits your profile, they're not there for a long period of time, or they're not going to spend a lot of time reading or trying to analyze. And so it has to be very clear and succinct. This is the problems that I solve. Not necessarily what you do, but the outcomes that you're able to achieve. Um, for example, if a plumber comes to your house and fixes a leaky pipe or a leaky tap, the outcome is the tap has stopped leaking or the pipe has stopped leaking. The fact that they used all of these tools or techniques in order to derive that outcome, people are less interested in. It's outcome based. And then if they want to do a deeper dive, are you sharing content that gives insights into not only your subject matter expertise, but also how you go about deploying the skills that you have?
And what about outreach? how should I outreach to folks once I have a good looking profile? What should there be in
Sure,
that message? What should be the length? How do I target these folks? How do I get responses and leads, basically?
sure. So from your profile, you want to grow your audience of influencers and decision makers who can acquire your services or use your skills. And so you want to start to show interest in your target audience first. And so a technique that we recommend, it's called multi-threading. So let me give you an example. If you, Charles, are my target demographic, my profile is going to visit your profile. I'll perhaps like and comment on some of your content. Then I'll follow you. Then you'll receive a polite, professional, and courteous, would you be open to connecting? Now, I'm not trying to sell you anything or pitch you anything. It's just, it's like a handshake. Would you be open to connecting? Once they've connected, wait a couple of days and then send them a polite thank you. And then over the next few days, continue to like and comment on any content and perhaps even share some endorsements for their skills. And then pose a question, a very, very simple question that shows interest in them first. So that's how you start to build your connections, your acceptance rates. If you just simply sending a connection request, you might have connection acceptance rates around the 10 or 15%. If you take this approach, you can drive your connection request rates up to 80 to 90%.
And what would be a good example of a question that you can ask them that would be of interest and potentially get you a positive response?
Sure. So the positive response is that they have responded in the first place. Remember, when you first connect with somebody on LinkedIn or you first engage with them, you're at the thin end of the wedge when it comes to their attention. And so because you have visited their profile and you have shown interest in them, one of the things that you might do is share one of their articles or, sorry, one of their posts, share it back with them and pose a question about what they wrote about. Could you provide some additional insights into whatever topic that they shared? Or I'm seeing this. Are you seeing the same thing? Now, not everybody is sharing content. And so in looking at the profile, you might see that they changed jobs or were promoted recently. Say, so for example, hey, Charles, I saw that you changed jobs in the last, 3 or 4 months. How's the job going? Just some way to spark a conversation, because the reality is when people are on LinkedIn, they don't want to be sold to. And so you need to sell because that's your job. You're an internal, sales development, SDR, business rep. So how do you reconcile, I don't want to be sold to is your audience, but you need to sell? Form a relationship by engaging with them on things that are of interest in them, not what you are selling. So you lead, right? So you lead to the solution. You don't lead with the solution.
Right. Me, when I see folks that write, let's connect, I don't accept these requests because why would I want to connect,
Right.
at this point? So what could be a better opener than just let's connect?
I'd welcome that. So provided that you've done the steps that I've described, you've shown interest in them, I really appreciated what you shared in last week's post or yesterday's post. I'd welcome the opportunity to add you and your expertise to my network. Thanks for your consideration. It's polite, it's professional, and it shows that you have shown interest in them. And the reason that you're engaging with their profile first is that they become familiar with your face and your name.
Right. When it comes to your services, if I would hire you to improve my LinkedIn, my messages, and all of that, what do you charge typically for this?
Uh, we've got a variety of we give a lot of information away. So we provide help to people for free with webinars, with ebooks, etc. If somebody wants some coaching, we have some hourly rate coaching. It really just depends where they are on the spectrum, all the way through to we will manage your LinkedIn presence and simply generate appointments for you.
Right. What's your opinion on packages? Do you have packages as well?
We do have packages, and that's usually influenced by the number of people involved. Are we dealing with one person, is a solo entrepreneur, or are we dealing with a corporation that has several, if not hundreds of salespeople? There's just different ways of presenting the process. Because when it comes to generating leads, three things are needed. You need a process, and you need people and technology to support that process. And with LinkedIn, just because you have LinkedIn and or Sales Navigator, just because you have those tools, unless you have a process in how to use those tools, you're going to struggle getting the outcomes that you're looking for.
Right. I'm seeing here your content also on LinkedIn. How can one post better stuff that will get more engagement on LinkedIn?
Sure. Sure. Uh, there's a certain structure that you have to have with your content, because when people log in, what they're doing is scrolling. So the first thing that your content needs is stopping power. You need people to stop scrolling. And that's done by a mixture of the visuals, and it's also by the tagline, because what you need with that tagline before they hit the see more is you need to be able to create curiosity. And so now when I hit the see more, now I've got a narrative in there that adds value to that audience that you're looking to serve. And so hook or tagline, value, sum it up, and then give a strong call to action, and then use appropriate hashtags of not necessarily the hashtags of what you do, but the hashtags of the of how your audience chooses to consume its information. So, for example, if you know that VPs of finance or VPs of IT, go to their profiles and look at the hashtags that they are following, because you want your content to appear in their feed. If I did hashtag LinkedIn training is what my competitors use, not necessarily the audience, and my competitors aren't buying anything from me.
And what hashtags does your audience use?
Sales, marketing, business, personal branding.
And when you say use, do you mean that they search in the LinkedIn bar for that content, or?
Well, you've got a few options. You can put in the hashtags that you're interested in. Especially you've got the creator mode switched on. So it can define, this is what I talk about. But I'm also looking on when I'm on somebody's profile, this is my target audience. I'm looking at the content that they have liked and they have commented on. And then I'm looking at that particular pieces of content and seeing what hashtags they're using.
So do you use hashtags to attract them organically by
Yes.
them searching on LinkedIn? Is that what you're
Yep.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or is the algorithm recommending your content because of these same hashtags?
Okay. There's a bit of both. Let's just talk through how content works on LinkedIn. When you share something, it does not go out to all of your connections. So let's say that you've got 10,000 connections. It doesn't go out to all 10,000, it goes out to 15%. And what the algorithm is expecting to see within that first hour is at least 10 comments and at least 20 people have engaged, they've liked it, loved it, your content. The next, at the end of that hour, then the next sample size will be 1.6. If in that first hour you got 20 or 30 people commenting and you have 40 or 50 people who've engaged, that next sample size is around 2.8x. And so this is how you get this multiplier effect. And that's how you are able to get an individual post that gets several thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of views versus just a few hundred.
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
quite clear, and especially that model of these posts to make them attracting, try to talk about something different, include an image in there could also be
mm-hmm.
potentially good advice there. What's next for you and your company this year? There's a couple months remaining to the year. What are your goals?
To become more significant with our existing clients. Because I see some economic challenges coming up in the economy, lots of layoffs, etc. And the closer you are with the products or services that you're offering, the closer you are to helping drive revenues or cut costs, whatever services you have, the more that you're seen to be integral to the revenue stream, the more value that you're going to become.
Right. Where can people find out more about you, Graham?
They can go to my LinkedIn if they simply type in Graham Riley. They're gonna find me. Or they can go to our website at maverick.us or careertoolboxusa.com. Again, whether you're selling yourself to an employer or whether you're selling your company's products and services, either way, how you are presenting yourself to a prospective buyer or to a prospective employer, you're interviewing for the role. That people have to feel that they know, like, and trust you, and that you are credible and showing interest in them first.
That is right. Graham, thank you so much for coming on today. My name
You're
is
welcome.
Charles. I am the host of Founder Wisdom Podcast. If people want to start, scale, be invited to podcasts, that is podpire.com.